read 8 books in May, and I'm going to tell you what I read, what I thought of them, and if I'm going to be adding them to the library. The first book that I read is Riley Sager's Survive the Night. This is the third Riley Sager book that I've read. For Christmas, my mum got us like a box set of 4 of them because I was really interested in reading The Only One Left because I heard good things about that. I enjoyed that one. I didn't love it, but I enjoyed it. And then I read House Across the Lake, which I didn't like. So I was kind of 50-50 going into this one. This is Survive the Night. This is about a young woman called Charlie who is wanting to get out of university after her best friend and roommate is killed by the local campus killer. So she takes a ride from a guy that she doesn't really know through the rideshare system at the university, and over the course of the ride starts to suspect that he may be the campus killer. Kind of like with the House Across the Lake, I just didn't gel with this. I just didn't enjoy it very much. I was a little bit bored, just kind of wanting it to be over. So I gave this a 2 out of 5, and unsurprisingly, it will not be added to the library. That was my dog, if you're wondering what just came up at the screen. He may come in from time to time. The next book that I read was another one that on BookTok I heard a lot of people talking about and finally got round to buying it, and that's Negative Space by B.R. Yeager. Negative Space, it's an interesting format. It's kind of told between, I suppose, like message boards between 3 characters all talking about their same experiences of this kind of suicide epidemic that's going through their town, and in particularly with a friend that they all share and his kind of devolvement into it. I won't kind of get into this too much because I feel like it's one of those books that's best to just go in knowing as little as possible and then just kind of being along for the ride. It's a really bleak book. It's really kind of not a feel good book. But I thought it was really interesting, jumping from the different characters' perspectives and how their take on what's happening is differs, and like I say, it doesn't work out well for anybody really, but I did enjoy it and I did think it was really interesting, even if it was not the most uplifting of books. The third book that I read is also kind of a one that I kept seeing on TikTok a lot. And that's Aaron Beauregard's Playground. Now, I've kind of been recently getting a little bit more into extreme horror and splatterpunk. I've mostly been reading Christopher Triana. I've read both the Gone to See the Riverman books, and then I read The Prettiest Girl in the Grave, and I really, really enjoyed those, thoroughly enjoyed those. So I thought it was probably about time that I pick this up and give it a go. I always kind of, whenever someone says like this, I can't get past this page because it's too hard to read. I feel like I've consumed horror for so long that I'm just a little bit kind of desensitized to it. So I'm always like, oh, maybe I'll try that. Maybe that'll make us, I don't know, feel something. Sounds a bit too much, but something like that. So I picked this up and try it. Playground is about a group of kids and their parents who get this kind of once in a lifetime opportunity to try this state of the art playground. But it's kind of if like John Kramer created a playground for kids, as you can see from the cover. They're not the nicest of experiences that the kids have. One thing I would say about this, because one thing I worried about delving into the splatterpunk and extreme horror genre, was that a lot of them would be shocking just for the sake of shocking you. So putting in intense gore and whatever it is, whatever taboo you want to go along with, just for the sake of having it in, but not having any like interesting story. Because it's fine having all the gore in that. The gore doesn't particularly bother me. It's that if there's nothing else to it, it just kind of gets boring. Whereas with this, I think that the story wise, it's pretty simple. They have to survive the playground, but it's the characters that make this for me, and was that the reason why I enjoyed this. because all the characters kind of have their own moment to shine. They're all quite different. They're all fairly fleshed out, and therefore it makes the deaths harder. It makes them more intense because you start to actually care about the characters. So I thought I actually really did quite enjoy Playground, and that, and I can't remember if I said, but Negative Space will be being added to the library, and I'll definitely be diving into more of splatterpunk and extreme horror because I'm really enjoying it. The next book that I read is kind of a sequel to another book called Cursed. Cursed is like an anthology series taking different writers, and they all have to write a story based on the idea of curses. And this is Twice as Cursed. And I got this ages ago and just never got round to reading it, but I've recently rearranged my TBR section, so I'm kind of like rediscovered a whole load of books that I completely forgot that I have. But it's got some of my favourite writers in. It's got Joe Hill and M.R. Carey, Laura Purcell's in here as well. And I think, yeah, Christina Henry is in there as well. We'll ignore him. He doesn't need to be on there anymore. But I did really enjoy the stories in here. I do like anthology series because I like stories that just are quick and pack a punch, and that's what some of these do. Like some more than others, but overall I really enjoyed this, and I love kind of books with this theme because even though it's about curses, a lot of these tend to be reimaginings of classic fairy tales. And I always love dark reimaginings of classic fairy tales and folklore. That's always a good way to get my attention. So I think I gave this like a 3 out of 5. I really enjoyed it. There were some some stories that were okay, but some of them I thought were really good, and this will definitely be added to the library. The next book was a book that I've been very excited to read, and that's Stephen Graham Jones' The Angel of Indian Lake. This is the... I can leave the camera alone. It's going to knock it over eventually. Hello. Hi. This is the third in the Lake Witch trilogy. Stephen Graham Jones has quickly become one of my favourite writers, and I've been enjoying every single book that he's put out. Hello. And I've really particularly enjoyed the Lake Witch books in particular, mostly because I adore Jade Daniels. If you're not familiar with the trilogy, it's basically a slasher girl's dream. Jade Daniels is the ultimate slasher fan, and when a slasher comes to her town, she's the only one that knows exactly how to handle it. But the thing that I love about Jade is that she's not perfect. She's very flawed. She's not your typical final girl. She doesn't believe herself to be a final girl, but she will fight to the very bitter end. And I was sad that I always get sad when it's a series that you love and characters that you love, when you know that this is it. This is the last time you're going to be able to interact with them or read a story with them for the first time again. So I did really enjoy this. I thought this was a lovely ending to the trilogy. You know, another slasher coming back to take on Jade Daniels, and it's their mistake for doing so. But it is kind of bittersweet because it means that this is the end, and this is to say goodbye. So very obviously this will be added to the library and my Stephen Graham Jones collection, which is getting bigger and bigger by the day. The next book that I picked up, I can't remember why I bought this actually, but clearly I have, and that's Barabek by Andrew Michael Hurley. And this is kind of told around, these are different, each chapter is kind of a different year, going kind of chronologically about this town of Barabek and the different strange things that happen there. It kind of starts out with the first settlers who make the town, and them kind of doing a deal with what they believe to be the gods of that area to be able to stay there, that they'll look after the land. They'll look after the land, and in doing so that they can have shelter. But over time that's kind of forgotten. The land is not always maybe taken care of as much as it needs to be. I thought this was okay. It was okay. It didn't grab my attention. I don't know. It wasn't bad, but there was nothing about it that made me kind of particularly love it either. And because the My shelves are quickly becoming overstuffed, even though I've just cleared out a bunch of books. A story that I thought was just okay, I don't think is worth keeping. So this one I will be getting rid of. I will not be keeping. But I wouldn't say it was bad if you're wanting to give it a go. The next book is The House at Watch Hill by Karen Marie Mourning. This is kind of more of a fantasy book than the rest, I suppose. It's about this character called Zoe Grey, and after the kind of untimely death of her mother, she finds out that she's become the inheritor to this massive estate, a huge amount of money, but she has to stay in this house for 3 years and she can't leave or she'll lose all of it. And after just kind of losing her home, her mother, she doesn't have any money, she doesn't have anywhere to go. She obviously jumps at the chance, but then to find that things are not quite what they seem. I didn't realise that this, because the way this ended, I'm assuming this is the first in a, I don't know if it's going to be a duology or trilogy or series, I don't know. Again, this kind of like Barabek, it wasn't bad, I just didn't love it. And when it finished, and obviously finished on a cliffhanger, and I was kind of thinking, oh, I guess I'll have to look to see if there's another one, and I thought, I don't know if I really care. I don't know if I really care about the next one and what's going to happen in that. So I don't think I'm going to bother searching out for the sequels. Again, it's not a bad book. I did enjoy parts of it. I did like some of the characters. I just don't think that this is for me. I didn't completely gel with it, so I think I'll be getting rid of this one as well. So that's 3 out of the 8 so far that I'm getting rid of. For me, that's quite. I normally only get rid of like 1 book maybe, because I've gotten too good at buying books that I like. So it's very rare that I'll get rid of them now, which is not good for the bookshelves. The floor's creaking, and I kind of need to dislike as much as of my TBR as possible. But 3 is quite good for this month. But the last and final book is Heads Will Roll by Josh Winning. This follows, I can't ever remember anyone's names. I just finished reading this as well. Willow. This follows Willow, who is a former sitcom star, when she gets kind of the victim of cancel culture and decides to go to Camp Castaway, which is a camp for adults who are kind of in a very similar situation. It gets the nickname of cancel camp. Everyone there has kind of got their own reasons for wanting to just get away. And it's a camp where there's no technology, so in good, true slasher fashion, there's a weird reason to why nobody has phones to call for help and why there's no technology. This is very much, and then, just finish off the story. At the camp, she finds out this legend of Knock Knock Nancy, where if she knocks on your door and you answer, she will take your head, and then people start disappearing. This is going to be great for slasher summer because it very much is a quintessential slasher. I really enjoyed this. It was good fun. It had some good laughs. It's got some great characters. It's got some fair amounts of gore, and it's got a high kill count. So if you like your slashers, if you like books like Clown in a Cornfield, for example, I think you'll enjoy this. I very much enjoyed this. I'll definitely be looking at his other books because I'm sure there's Burn the Negative, I feel like I've heard of. So maybe I'll have a look and give that a go as well. But I don't know why. I didn't expect to enjoy this. I don't know, just something about it. I was like, I don't know if I like this, but I actually really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with it. And if you like your slashers, I think this is a great book. So I will be adding that one to the collection. So out of the 8 books that I read this month, I'll be keeping 5 of them, which for me is kind of a all-time low because I don't tend to get rid of a lot of my books. But that's what I read in May. Good month altogether. I wouldn't say it was an amazing month. I don't think, other than The Angel of Indian Lake, I didn't give anything 5 stars other than that one. Everything else was a 4-star kind of book, or the ones that I got rid of were 3 and 2. So it wasn't the most amazing of months, but it was still pretty enjoyable. I've got all my books set up for this month and I've already started reading. I've got a couple of Stephen King's, got a couple of shark books, shark horror books. I did not realise that The Meg, the film The Meg with Jason Statham, is a book. Didn't know that. Found it in a second-hand shop. Had to buy it. So, and there's two of them. As far as I know, that I don't know if there's any more, but there were two in the second-hand bookshop. So I'll be reading them this month. I have the last Riley Sager book, that I got for Christmas of the four. Not high hopes now that it's 2-1. Just kind of thinking I'll just kind of get through it and get it done, and then I can offload it. But I'll let you know next month what I think of all the books that I read in June. So thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this, then if anybody's actually watching this, then you can always leave a like and subscribe. I'll be making more of this, probably not as consistently as I'd like to at the beginning. I'm new to all this, but I'll try my best. And if you have any recommendations for any books, or if you have any thoughts on the books that I talked about, leave them in the comments below. I'd love to hear about it. Thank you for watching. Bye.